podcast is part of the Sports Social Podcast Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Achtung Millwall. Broadcasting from beautiful South Bermondsey, it's the #1 Millwall podcast. Accept no substitute.
Red alert. All hands stand to battle stations.
Shields up. Load all torpedo bays. Stand by phasers.
Warp factor 8.
Red alert indeed, dear listeners. That'll be the sound being made at Premier League headquarters in the wake of yesterday's remarkable, shall we call it, 1-0 win for the Addicts up there at Middlesbrough, at Riverside Stadium. Most unexpected 1-0 win for Charlton away against the one of the strongest teams, if not the strongest team in the division. Maybe Coventry might have something to say about that statement, I don't know. But certainly it was a remarkable win for Nathan Jones and his band of merry addicts up there. I looked at a screenshot of the statistics. 76%, 77% possession for Middlesbrough, 22%, 34 shot attempts from the Borough. Only 7 of those on target. Charlton, by contrast, 5 shot attempts and 2 shots on goal, one of which went in the net, clearly. So that's a remarkable statistic in itself. What it does, of course, is leave the door ajar now for suddenly the Lions are contenders. The door ajar for that second promotion spot, which is an amazing twist of events. Just looking at the league table as I speak to you, Coventry top on 77. I think they may be too far out in front to be caught, but who knows? Middlesbrough in second on 69. This is the crucial position that we're going to be looking at now. Millwall in third on 68 points. Both teams on 37 games played. Ipswich 3 points behind us on 65 with 1 game in hand, but we do, of course, have to visit Portman Road just a couple of weeks away now, Saturday at home to Blackburn. Then we visit Ipswich in what is a massive, massive fixture. Could be historic, as someone posted on X. So, yeah, the door is ajar. Can we kick it wide open, dear listeners? The road, as they say in country music songs sometimes, is going on before us. It stretches out forever. One note of caution, of course, we're all old Mill heads, you and me, and all the listeners to this show. And this is the Lions we're talking about. So we do have the innate capacity to screw it up, don't we, dear listeners? Some of us, the bitter memories of Blackburn in 2023 will still haunt our dreams at night, that 4-3 loss at home. But if we can control our vehicle, as I say, the road stretches out before us to automatic promotion now. It's within our grasp. A lot of football yet to be played, 9 games left. But there it is. That's the target. That's the prospect. Amazing turn of events, dear listeners. Now, it's been a busy week on the podcast in front, dear listeners, so I'm just going to play these back to back. Big thank you to everyone who sent in voicemail contributions. But first up, we're going to run off with Digger Dave, and the remainder will follow. I want to say a huge thank you to everyone for contributing to the show. I shall be back on Achtung Millwall at the weekend in the wake of the home game versus Blackburn, a must-win. There's nowhere else to go with the game other than to win it. So we'll be back at the weekend. But for the moment, we're going to run away now with the remainder of the voicemails from the Derby game. Huge thank you once again. Thank you for listening, dear listeners. I do appreciate it. Take it away, Digger Dave.
Hello, Nick. Digger Dave. I just want to give you a shout after the Derby game last night, and then obviously, I've not been on for a little while, so I just think, last night was a big test, wasn't it? A big physical test. And there were times when we definitely rode our luck, but at the end of the day, we stuck the ball in their net. They didn't stick the ball in our net, so we won a game of football, didn't we? I think the manhandling of Coburn is absolutely ridiculous now. Like, watching it last night, where I was sat, you just meant on it. What's the guy got to do to get a foul? He's literally got a player hanging off him the whole time, I just think it's ridiculous, Negley was superb last night. Absolutely love that. What a performance he put in. What a performance, And it was nice to see Barry Bannon get some minutes and show what he can do as well, which was helpful considering obviously Casper was out of that. So, yeah. Do you know what? I love all this. I love all this being around the playoffs. Potentially even being close to the automatic as well. But there's one thing niggling me in the back of my head, mate. And you know, say it doesn't happen this year. Say we don't go up, right? Say it doesn't happen. That hangover, my God, I'm dreading it. I'm dreading it. I'm already thinking 2 seasons already or whatever. But you know, it's just a scary old thought, isn't it? My God. But what a time to be a Mill fan. Just proper exciting. Yeah, love it. All right, mate. Nice one. That's what she said. Cheers.
I've said my goodbyes, Dave, and now you've gone and got me to interject, mate. Spoken, may I say, like a true Millwall fan. We're already looking at the I've seen posts online if we get into the Premier League. It's a big if, listeners. Let's not be unrealistic here. How we're going to get stuffed every week in the Premier League. We're going to be bottom of the table. We'll compete with Derby County's lowest ever points total a few years ago. And then, as you say, Dave, I hear you, mate. I've been around the track enough times, like you, like the listeners, to know how Millwall goes. And we're talking about the hangover if we fail this season, or if we get relegated straight back down, the kind of depression syndrome. I think we've got to enjoy what we've got in front of us while we can, dear listeners. And who knows where it's going to lead us? Who knows what success or failure promises this? I mean, speaking personally, you've mentioned 2 great performances there, Dave. Negley the other night. We've all seen the Myra Bona thing that he did, the cross, and the beautiful takedown of Johan Cruyff, because I'm an old kids. I can remember players like Johan Cruyff from the 70s. They could do stuff like that. The ball on the wing where he takes it down and makes a run forwards. These are the moments. These are queens. These are the days. Who knows what lies before us? You've got to enjoy what you've got in front of you right now. I'm going to go all philosophical on you, kids. But we're Millwall fans. We know what League One looks like and feels like. I'm personally, I've been there before. Will no doubt go back there again. Maybe in my remainder of my lifetime. I don't know. Let's see. We're going to enjoy the success, such as we get, while we got it. You've mentioned Negley. You mentioned Barry Bannon. Some of the balls he was playing the other night, Dave, fantastic. And as you say rightly, we put the ball in their nets, and that's what, no matter how many statistics, XGs and all the other tosh that we get in the modern game, that's what it's all about. So I'm going to say thank you, Dave. I'm personally looking at the glass half full side of life, because the glass half empty is a real streak of Millwall opinion out there. But for me, don't take you anywhere in the end. But I hear you, mate. I know what the hangover's like of relegation. We had it in 1988 to 1990, didn't we? Big thank you to Dave, though. It's come. I might interject yet. Who knows? We'll see as this goes along. We're going to play John Rankin now.
Hello, Nick. Hi, listeners. John Rankin just called in after that 1-0 win at the Den. And I've got to say, as far as the second half goes, I think it really was a game of 2 halves. But if we play like we did in the second half against any more teams, I think we've used up our 9 lives. Our Derby didn't get anything in the second half is beyond me. And we're going to get battered if we play like that. Interesting, because I thought the first half we dominated it. We had plenty of possession, we were knocking on the door all the time, and I just think we looked the much stronger team. Standout performance for me was Barry Bannon. He gives us just what we need in the middle of the park. Composure, a bit of time, just doing simple things. It's worth such value. It's of such value in this championship, because the championship game is frenetic, it's fast paced, it's hear 'em, scare 'em, quick on the break, everything's at 100 miles an hour. And if you get a player who can just put his foot on the ball, move it a little, couple of passes, 2-3 passes, it's worth so much, because it puts you in control. It starts moving the other team round, starts getting them looking around and guessing, and it buys you some breathing time. So for me, that was a big change. He was off the pace in the second half, and Derby made some changes. But the first half, I thought we were very good indeed, knocking on the door all the time. I was so pleased with Josh Coburn. I thought everyone played well. Danny Mack came under a lot of pressure. Derby had two very big. Adjumandi, the number 9, was as tall, if not taller, than Jake Cooper. And the guy that played on the left up against Danny Mack was much taller. And they were just targeting Danny Mack with high balls. And I think he did well. I think Danny Mack held up really well against an onslaught. As I say, we rode our luck there big time. I thought we all played well. I'm not too sure about the formation. I think the 4-4-2 is a bit risky, and in the second half, they really started opening us up because I would prefer to see that kind of 4-2-3-1, you know, where you've got just an extra player who can drop into the middle. And I think putting 2 players up front was a bit of an experiment. I'm not sure it paid off, to be honest with you. But look, we got the 3 points, and it's on to Blackburn on Saturday. So how bad's that? It's a shame Ipswich managed to claw back a couple of goals and get the winner against Stoke. But, you know, we're riding high, we're pretty good. Let's hope Charlton can do a job for us tomorrow against Middlesbrough. Come on, you Lions. Hi, Nick, quick PS to that last voice note. We've just checked our flash score. Other apps are available, by the way. And it's 3-3, Ipswich, Stoke. So we're looking better. You know, come on, you Lions.
Cheers, John. Yes, indeed. Ipswich dropped points. And then, as we've said already, Charlton went and won at the Riverside Stadium last night. The football gods, who I always picture sitting on top of the roof of the cell chip power incinerator over on the far side of the ground, playing chess with mortals' lives, sitting up there. That's what I picture them doing with Millwall. They're certainly toying with us at the moment. Lady Luck, that harlot, keeps smiling upon us at the minute. Can that carry on? I think John's right. We did use up our little, I thought we'd used our batch of luck up against Derby. It seems to have continued into other fixtures. So, as we said already, the road lies before us. The door is ajar. Whatever metaphor you want, listeners. This is a massive opportunity, huge, historic potentially. I'm trying not to ramp up the pressure. I had an interesting post from Tony Monday online saying he's not getting overexcited. I think we all cannot help but get overexcited. It's in our blood and DNA to get overexcited. The problem with Millwall historically has been that, the pressure of the big game becomes so overwhelming that it almost freezes our own side. We've seen it numerous times. I've seen it numerous times across my 50-odd years. You would have seen it however long you've been going. We all know what we're talking about. There's been occasions where the big game syndrome becomes so overwhelming you can almost reach out and touch the atmosphere. It's a pressure on our own side. Now, that's what playing in the big time is all about, isn't it? If you want to play on the highest levels, and some of our players do, then you've got to be able to manage that, handle it, play within it, enjoy it if you can. We'll see. We've got 9 huge cup finals ahead of us, so that's what we're gonna find out about. The measure of our side, the metal. We'll see. Derby were physical. This is another thing, actually. John mentions the physicality and the size of some of their forwards. I thought Tristan Kramer looked like a small bloke by the side of is it the 7? Was that Agyemang, listeners? I can't remember now. But he looked physically bigger than Tristan. Tristan is no small guy, dear listeners. When I had the fortune to be, the PR day, you get a sense of how big some of these guys are. Jake Towers above me. I've stood next to Lucas Jensen, 6'5". These are big boys, well honed, shall we say, without going all funny on you, dear listeners. So to outdo them in terms of size and physicality is quite something. I think it might be something we've got to face and handle if we do go up. I think that the physicality of the Premier League is the Championship on steroids, isn't it? So, this is going to be something. And also, Digger Dave mentioned Coburn being manhandled. I've made a note of it. I thought he did really well against Derby, but it's something you've got to get used to and play through somehow. So anyway, these are all for tomorrow. Let's enjoy today. Thankfully, Lady Luck at the moment does seem to have the hots for us. Let's hope that continues. formation, John mentions risky 4-4-2. Yeah, won't surprise me to see us go back to 4-2-3-1. We only need to win. Basically, listeners, we've just got to win. We don't have to win by large margins. We've just got to have one more goal. Like the song says, we're going to score one more than you. And I think a bit of solidity in midfield mightn't go amiss. Anyway, we'll see. In Alex Neil, we trust. Let's have a listen now to Rob Abbott.
On Nick, Rob Abbott here, just back in Dublin after coming across for last night's match. I must say, very entertaining match, in my opinion, but the main thing is that we've got 3 more points on the board. For the first half, we were very, very good in spells. I don't think we can continue our momentum or our play for long, because Derby just killed any momentum as soon as they could. Every throw-in they got, every free kick, every goal kick, players going down injured, stifled us a lot in the first half, in my opinion. But we played some nice stuff in and around their slow tactics. I think they only got one chance in the first half. It was a corner quite early on. Aguiman won a header, and I think Aziz cleared it off the line. But it was a pretty routine clearance. And then we had a few chances, didn't we? Coburn, unfortunately, from a really good Aziz cross, headed over. Aziz had a couple of chances. We had a couple of blocks, and then Bannon put one wide. But yeah, great to go in 1-0 up at half-time. Obviously, free kick. How good has Kramer done to get that ball back into the danger area? And then the big lamppost has just nodded it in. So 1-0 up half-time. The lamppost was so good in the first half, wasn't he? Like, just bringing others into play as well as his pressing. And then Bannon showed why we have Barry Bannon. And I think in my voice note after the whole game was like, we will see Barry Bannon playing for Millwall this year. People were questioning Aussie and Alex Neil signing, but there's a time and place for him to play, and I think he will start again against Blackburn at the weekend. We missed him when he went off. The game sort of changed a little bit when he went off. It was changing a little bit before. I think you've got to give Derby credit here. John used to sport on Carlton Morris, who is no mug at this level, to put him up top alongside Aguiman. In the first half, I thought Kramer and Cooper were superb against Aguiman. But there was 2 of them dealing with 1. And then as soon as they put Morris up top, we're now effectively defending man on man. And then Aguiman as well went and hung on Danny Mack a lot with a massive side difference. But look, we coped well. We had a little bit of luck. They missed some chances. I think watching the highlights very early this morning, again, the biggest chance was the header. But he's put it nowhere near the target. So in the end, fabulous 3 points. Yeah, a few little transitional moments in the second half on the attack. We probably could have done better to potentially have got that second to see off the game, but we didn't capitalise on it. But it doesn't matter now. There's a few mentions. Camille Negley, hey, again, what a performance. Just number one for the control when he's taking it over his shoulder right near the touchline, and then for the audacity to throw in a Rabana cross. Wow, if Aziz would have converted that would have been outrageous. But look, the man's obviously playing really well. He's very high on confidence with the ball and without the ball, so long may it continue. But look, pressure's now back on Middlesbrough. Ipswich dropped more points, and we move on to Saturday against Blackburn, which is a huge game again. Every game's a huge game. They're cup finals, 27 points to play for. And let's see what happens. But great evening last night. Thoroughly enjoyed it. And I'll be back for Saturday. Take care.
Cheers, Rob. And best wishes to Richie Sadlier, who I noticed was over with yourself from Dublin for the game the other night. Incidentally, listeners, it's an incredible thing that Rob's doing, coming over back and forwards to the Republic to come and watch Millwall. This is what people do to follow their football club, and I want to take my hat off to Rob Abbott and all the other long distance fans that make it then or follow us from afar. But going back to Richie Sadlier, and I just want to make a comparison now with what we're starting to see from Josh Coburn. Anyone that was around when Sadlier was in his pomp, which would be back in the early 2000s now. The promotion season was where he was still forming, but he really came into his own alongside Steve Claridge during that 2001-2 season. Neil Harris became injured. But my word, Richie Sadlier became one of the best prospects that I think I've ever seen. Obviously, it would all end tragically with injury, so he never fulfilled those prospects. But there was a period where he was the man, dear listeners. He was on fire. And I believe, and this is a big comparison, and I make it very carefully, but I believe we're starting to see that same potential in Josh Coburn. Obviously, injury has rather plagued the boy too. So we have to hope that, he can stay fit and able, because if he can, he's got massive potential, power, finish. There were moments in that Derby game the other night where we had almost two men hanging on him, and he's being manhandled, rugby league style. Dave's mentioned it already, Digger Dave. And, to be able to do that in each game, which is what he's going to be facing, will take a physical toll on your body. And I think, I think there are many reasons that go into an injury. And I'm not going to say that was the reason for Richie Sadlier all those years ago. But certainly with Josh Coburn, he puts himself around physically, and there is a price to be paid for that because you are putting your body on the line each game. I take my hat off to players that do that. But we're certainly seeing the dawning of a new star, I think, in Josh Coburn. Let's hope, with everything we got, that he can remain fit. We're going to take a short break for the adverts now, listeners, and we'll come back with Jim Hackett after the break.
Mom, Dad, I'm not throwing shade, but the whole New Year's resolution thing, kind of slipping, no offense. Anyway, my best friend Jenny's dad, crushing it. He uses Blue Apron. He says he ordered one pan assemble and bake meals and these things called meal kits. They're all super easy to make. He keeps yelling, protein and fiber, baby. Also, the food, we tried it. So good. So maybe you check it out or whatever. Blue Apron. Get $50 off your first two orders plus free shipping with code STIR50. Terms and conditions apply. Visit blueapron.com/terms for more.
Achtung, Millwall.
Morning, Nick. Jim Hackett here. Just catching up after last night's game against Derby. I've had a sort of good think about the game and very difficult to put in the context, isn't it? Apart from the result, which was fantastic, the game itself, I thought, first half, we were never in trouble, looked comfortable. Barry Bannon was, I thought, showing exactly why they've got him in and, controlled everything that was going around. Billy was doing what Billy does, and everybody was sort of on the game. I think there wasn't anybody that looked out of place, and I thought that we looked comfortable. And then at half-time, obviously Derby started making their changes second half, and we were still okay. And then as soon as they brought Morris on to push two players up front, I think then the bombardment that started coming, we did fantastically well to hold out. Derby could have had a goal, out of any 3 or 4 chances, but they didn't. And obviously, how many times have we been down that road, over the years? So, ultimately, the result meant everything. It didn't show any weaknesses in our team. I think, if anything, we sort of showed that we missed Casper when the going got a little bit tough. Second half, I thought we struggled a little bit just to hold the ball up. And, Coburn had a great game, throughout. But when he was left on his own up front, and I think Langstaff was sort of slotted in behind him, you could just see that everything stopped happening then. And going forward, we played some nice little football or bits of football, but we didn't show any teeth. And I think, the way the game was going, it really was Derby hoofing it up. Their big lads up front getting on top of it. And, they put us under a lot of pressure. And, credit to the back 4, back 5, back 6, whatever you want to call them. They held out okay, and Derby didn't score. So ultimately, it is the result that matters. It's the 3 points that matters against what, in Derby terms, that they're a good side going forward. When they've got that sort of passion and can get going there. But we got the breaks, they didn't. You can't sort of worry too much about that because there's other days where we don't get any breaks. Second half, I'll go back to the first half. First half, I thought we were comfortable. I thought Bannon looked really good. Second half, when the ball started bypassing him, I think Alex Neil did the right thing and sort of took him off. I thought Derek would have come on at that point just for the legs and the height and everything, but obviously he didn't. And when he did eventually bring him on for Billy, it was a good move anyway. But it was a little bit late in the piece. So ultimately, we got our I say just rewards for the dominant of the first half, but a couple of players who did look a little bit out of sorts in the second half. I thought Mihailo went missing. Femi didn't look on it at all. And it's not a criticism of him because so many times he does something that looks fantastic and gets us points. So he's always going to have an off game here and there. And the fullback who was up against wasn't too bad actually. So if you're a Derby supporter, you'll think their left back is actually quite decent. And when Morris came on, he's just a battering ram, isn't he? And the other lad up front, is it Agipang? I thought he was a danger all night to us, and he kept sort of springing up miles and then winning the ball. And they could have had a goal or two just based on the fact that they got the ball up there and he won it. But overall, I think Alex Neil takes a lot of credit because he's now dealing with that injury problem again, where the crucial players aren't quite available. And he said this morning, I think, or last night, that Jake still hasn't sort of recovered from his illness. And, that's a good sign that Jake's still out there doing what he does. And, they've got a couple of days off now, hopefully, to get ready for Blackburn. Blackburn are playing tonight. So, they'll have a little bit less time in their recovery phase. And, hopefully we go again on Saturday and pick up another 3 points. And, then I reckon we're shoo-in for the playoffs anyway. But a lot's going to depend on the other teams around us, what happens in terms of second place. Hopefully, we'll keep pushing and cement our place in that playoff sort of group, pretty sharpish. And at least then we can not relax at all, but, depend on what Middlesbrough do, depend on what we need to do. But as things are, I'm comfortable with a playoff place and the lads are doing their bit. My final point was something that sort of cropped up, I think, in a text conversation last night is that when you look at all the teams around us now, that they've got 4, 5, 6 good forward players who they can sort of bring on, rest, bring on again. And, we seem to have 2 strikers who, do everything for the whole season between them. And, we're getting results, not because of that, but we're getting results, despite a dearth of forward players. I don't think Langstaff is considered to be a striker anymore. And, Coburn and Mihailo are doing the donkey work of strikers, whereas other clubs seem to have a lot of replacements ready to come on. So, kudos to our lot that are doing their bit. But last night's result, it was about the result. It wasn't about performance. And what a fantastic way to finish the night when we get the 1-0 and then watching Ipswich get a last-minute penalty given against them. So maybe there is a God up there somewhere just giving us a little bit of help. Let's hope that Middlesbrough can get a little bit of a chant and kick in tonight and cause all sorts of problems. So on to Saturday. Come on, you Lions.
Cheers, Jim. Well, the cat certainly is amongst the pigeons, dear listeners, with that win for the Addicts last night at Middlesbrough. It's a massive opportunity. We're going to be repeating ourselves over and over on these shows as we go along. I think, as Jim says, it's about the result at this stage of the season. A lot of pressure from Derby the other night. They didn't get past, the breached the defence. Luck played its part. They hit the post late. But then I was thinking to myself today that we also hit the post in the first half. I think it was Coburn, put the ball onto the crossbar. So, not that one balances the other, but you know what I mean. And we were also unlucky as much as we were lucky. So that's football. But 9 huge cup finals to come, listeners. I think we need a cool head. We need a thoughtful head. I know that sometimes it can be easy to critique Alex Neil's substitutions, decisions, but I think essentially he sets out to go out to win each game, and that if we keep doing that, then success lies not very far out of touch. It's a massive, massive situation, and as Jim just said, we're certainly a shoo-in for the playoffs. We are 3 points short of the average playoff total in recent years now. Not that guarantees you anything, but a win or two, and that's playoff football pretty much assured. But we do have this glittering prize of second automatic promotion. Wow. If that's within tantalisingly close touching distance. I do take your point, Jim, about the depth of squads. Obviously, we are doing it on a wing and a prayer slightly, and as much as the investment by the Berylson family keeps us alive and keeps us afloat, and the club accounts were published the other day, I think it was I read a £15 million injection from, James Berylson into what is otherwise a reasonably buoyant club, but we are still running at a loss. But he's put 15 million in. Now that's wonderful, but these are the numbers that we are dealing in, whereas other teams can muster greater resources and greater greater depths of financial support. Will always be so. That's just the way it is at the Den. Incidentally, and on a tangent, talking about financial support, it may have escaped everyone's attention, but we have been indeed charged again for the South London Spastics chant versus Charlton this time. We got fined by the independent panel the other day for the FA, that was versus Crystal Palace, but we now have charges pending against Charlton. The FA will almost certainly again be pushing for a financial penalty, but also ground closures, section closures possibly, plus all the other bits and pieces. They want body cameras on stewards, all that kind of thing. I've read a few messages online, people posting, talking about sanitisation of the modern game, and Jesus, I know all about sanitisation. I started going in 1972, so where it goes in one ear and out the other for me, we live in the modern world, and these chants are deemed offensive, and it costs money. There we are. I'm going to say no more on it than that, but that's going to be another expensive outcome, and we wait to see whether they do close the ground or penalty, points penalties are issued. That's another possibility as well. Big thank you to Jim. I feel like I'm putting a downer, a buzzkill, dear listeners. Let's have a listen to Aussie Dave, then Lawrence Binnie.
Nick, Aussie Dave after that 1-0 scrape-by win against Derby. Tinged with luck again, but bugger it. A win's a win. First point, I think we need to remember that Derby, forgotten how you pronounce it now, different in Australia. Derby are a good side. You just look at their forwards. Brereton Diaz, Smolix, Brewster, Ajimang, he was a handful, and Carlton Morris. That is, I reckon that's one of the best sort of like group of 5 forwards in the competition. And that probably explains why they've scored in all but 4 games before they played Mills. So to stop them scoring, fabulous result, though they did miss some golden opportunities. 2, team effort. I think the Millwall team gives 100% in about 95% of games. And last night was that. They gave 100%, particularly last 30 minutes, and really earned that victory, even though, as I said, Derby missed some goals. I think the last time we didn't give 100 was probably Blackburn away, and we got them next week. Third point, for the last 30 minutes, it was almost back to the Rout and Harris days. We were 1 goal up, and it seemed back to the walls with very little effort going forward. And we haven't really seen that during Alex's Neil's reign, and I wondered why. One, I think, probably tiredness. We had a big game against Hull, and Derby played Sheffield Wednesday at home. So I think that had a thing to play. Secondly, I think Derby are a good side, as already said. And the last thing, I think, it was to do with Aziz. He had quite a poor game. And in the past, he's been a good outlet for us, putting pressure and often getting that second goal or helping assist in getting a goal. And we didn't quite have him as an outlet, and it shows how much we rely on him to help relieve defensive pressures. Fourth point, players, not going to go through many. I had 3 joint men of the matches, and the third one may surprise people. Thought Negley ran around, outstanding work, and how he trapped that high ball on the sideline was fabulous. Coburn really blossomed since he's come back. And my third equal man of the match was Danny. I thought he was superb. Can you remember the winger ever getting past him? And he won quite a few aerial duels. And Imagine Man, whatever it is, was put on him in the second half. And I thought he held it some of the time. and I thought he held up quite well. And the other player I want to mention is Bannon. Just oozes class and very promising signs. I think he tied because he hadn't played for a few games. And I hope he plays first choice against Blackburn. The fifth one is to do with injuries. I read that Doughty and Casper, according to Alex Neil, are going to be probably available after the Blackburn game this Saturday. But no mention of Lenny and no mention of Taylor. Taylor's there is a mystery. Now, why is there silence from the club? Why not just say they've got this and we think it'll be this long? Because we're all left up in the air and it doesn't serve anything by keeping it quiet. Anyway, on to the bogey Blackburn next week. Surely we'll win that one. Come on, you Lions.
Right, Nick, it's Lawrence Binnie calling in after Millwall 1, Derby County 0. I think that officially puts us in the playoffs. 68 points, 9 games to go, 14 points clear of Southampton. I know that they've got a couple of games in hand, and I know that people have PTSD from the Blackburn game a few years ago, but I really cannot see us slipping up the top 6 from here. I think top 2 out of our reach. Don't think we're good enough. Don't think we're better than Borough or Coventry. And I expect this game to. I expect this run to come to an end fairly soon. Actually, not because I don't think the players are good enough, but I think that the effort that we put in has been superhuman over the past few months, and it just kind of feels like we're probably due a bit of a bad run. If we do have that bad run, as I expect us to, then we'll probably just run out of road. But I still expect us to finish up 3rd, 4th in that region. I think a lot of the narrative I've seen on social media so far has been how lucky we were in that final 30 minutes, and I don't think that you can argue that we weren't. Derby County missed some gilt-edged chances. It really was quite amazing, actually. Just how just how kind of charmed a life our goal seemed to lead. Kind of similar to that first half against Hull. But I thought for the first 60 minutes we were very much in control. And fair play to Alex Neil for ringing the changes, even though they were out of necessity. Because I think we played a different type of football to what we're used to. I think a lot of that was down to the influence of Barry Bannon, who I thought finally kind of showed what he can bring to this side with some touches of quality. Josh Coburn was just magnificent all game. I mean, what transformation he really has got going from strength to strength, quite literally. His physique, his stature up front reminds me of some of the great Mill strikers at the moment, and he seems to be getting in the goals again. He was battered from pillar to post by Sanderson, but didn't give him an inch, and I think won that battle in the end. If he'd been given a bit more protection from the ref, I think he might have. We might have got maybe another before that period of domination in the final 30 for Derby. Mentions and dispatches for Negley, who produced just 2 absolutely sublime pieces of skill that wouldn't have looked out of place in the Champions League games that happened tonight. And hard working as ever. Also, special mention to Danny Mack, who came in and I thought put in a really great shift today. He is not the most talented player in the world, but he tried his heart out today and was really solid. And I didn't think he gave their left-sided player much of a sniff all game. I think just overall, it was a tough game on Saturday. It was a tough final 30 minutes today. But I think you've got to cut the team some slack, like psychologically, physically. It must be so fatiguing to have to go into each game week in, week out and get results. And we're due a break, I think. I think that international break is coming at a good time. So yeah, I don't think we'll get the top 2, but I mean, it's just amazing to be in the conversation. I don't know. I mean, who knows where this team can take us? All right, cheers for your hard work, Nick, and come on, you Lions.
LinkedIn is pretty great at a lot of things, like helping you tap into the latest trends and insights in your field. We cannot stop your coworker from tapping her pencil. LinkedIn can help you find new jobs that align with your career goals. We cannot help you find the source of that weird smell in the office fridge. Ew. And while we can't stop your coworkers from bringing their hobbies into the office, LinkedIn can help you bring your career to the next level. LinkedIn is the network that works for you.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile. I don't know if you knew this, but anyone can get the same premium wireless for $15 a month plan that I've been enjoying. It's not just for celebrities. So do like I did and have one of your assistants switch you to Mint Mobile today. I'm told it's super easy to do at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Cheers to Lawrence and Aussie Dave. Before Lawrence, we can't make the top two. Lawrence, wall back there, cowboy. Results have conspired to put us in the position where we very much can. Whether we will or not, another matter. Depth of squad, I think other callers have mentioned that on this show. And just tiredness, I think Dave touches on that, the tiredness factor versus Derby. We've got another big game on Saturday, so there were one or two players that looked really out of it, I thought, on Derby, particularly in that latter phase where Derby really started to strong us. Depth of squad, tiredness, these will be things that we have to deal with. But we do have the big time on the table. Results have now created a situation where the top two is not out of the question. Far from it. It's actually within grasp if we play well and continue to grind out results. It is going to come down to a results season rather than a performance season. Whether we should play quite as openly as we did versus Derby the other night, and it did allow them chances as we nearly, if we'd have taken 1-2 more, then it would have been a comfortable win versus the Rams. But as it is, we seem to need to create a good few chances to get one. And the defence were stretched to almost a breaking point, but we rode it out. As we've said a few times, the road lies ahead, and if we can just keep our vehicle in MOT worthy condition, anything's possible. So big thank you to Aussie Dave and then to Lawrence Binnie. I'm going to play you out after these messages with Matt Richards and Rob Woodford. I really am going to say goodbye to you now, dear listeners. I was going to just play these back to back, but I couldn't help myself but interject. It's a wonderful time to be a Millwall fan. Let's all enjoy the season whilst it plays out to whatever conclusion it comes to. I shall be back at the weekend. Big thank you to you too for listening, dear listeners. I really appreciate it. Fingers crossed for Saturday. Till then, from me, Nick Hart, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Hi, Nick. Matt Richards here. Just give my quick thoughts on the game last night. Bloody hell. You think about the last two games. That first half against Hull, definitely luck was on our side there, hitting the bar a couple of times. Last night, hitting the post in the injury time. The chances they missed, didn't even get them on target. Don't know. Is it written in the stars? I don't know. Are things aligning? Blimey. But it looks like playoffs. If we don't get playoffs now, we need to do a Devon lock to not make it. Autos, I'm not really that fussed about. It'd be amazing if we do. But playoffs, we should be there. We just got to keep it going. Brilliant result. I thought it's good to see Bannon starting, dispelling, a few internet rumours. And I thought we did really well. You can see the class he's got. If he's got space, especially got space in the deep role, some of the balls he hit were just brilliant. I thought Danny Mack played really well, and Zach Sturge as well. After he was yanked off, not yanked off, but he was pulled off. Oh God, don't know where I'm going on this. Saturday at half time, and I thought we just did really well against a really physical team. I was really impressed by Derby actually. Especially up front, the players they've got. They almost bullied us at times, but we stood up to them and got that win and Josh Coburn, what a performance. And he's still young, and he's still only at 23. He's going to get better. As he stays fit, he's using his body a lot better now. And it was a lovely little cushioned header, wasn't it? Deft header guided into the corner. Brilliant stuff. So yeah, we've just got to keep it going, haven't we? We've got Blackburn Saturday. You know, it's they're really struggling, so there'll be a bit of backs to the wall job. And obviously we know what happened against Blackburn in a crucial game just a few years ago. But, you know, we've got nothing to fear. We just got to go at them, get an early goal, and I think their heads will drop. Another 3 points, keep it going for the tough away games we've got coming up as well. So fantastic win. Fantastic lucky win. Let's be honest on this. But let's take that luck. There's many times in the past we haven't had it. Okay. Cheers, mate. Come on, you Lions.
Nick. Well, look, it was great to see Barry Bannon start, wasn't it? You know, the pitch at the Den is more suited to his football. You know, it's more like playing on a snooker table as opposed to Clarkson's farm. I agreed with another change because I think Tommy Watson is probably best used as an impact player. That's just my opinion, yeah. And it's brave to play 2 up front, but I like it. Very positive. We were just at times missing a bod in the hole, you know, Langstaff's recent role, making us look outnumbered at times. But it was nice to get in front just before half time, wasn't it? And Josh Coburn is on 7 now, 1 behind Femi and Mihailo on 8. And if he stays injury-free, he should be our leading goal scorer by the end of the season. You know, we rode our luck a bit in the second half, but we knew they would come at us. They had to keep their playoff hopes alive. Squeaky bum time at the end, but you have to expect that in the running. There'll be more of these. Barry Bannon didn't complete the game, but he was still my man of the match and possibly withdrawn with Saturday in mind. What a run of wins we are on now. And it's our 15th clean sheet, I believe, this season. If that's the case, well, unbe-fucking-leavable. And no yellow card for Kramer was also a bonus. And so the slate is wiped clean and he's now good for the run-in. 14 points clear of the chasing pack. More points than we had in the whole of last season, and still with 8 games to go out of the 46. And perhaps we'll have another 3 games beyond that. What a special season this is. Bring on Blackburn Rovers. Come on, you all.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of Achtung Millwall. All profits from our show benefit the fabulous Lions Food Hub, helping families in the Essex 16 area. Until the next show then, it's Arrivederci Millwall. Bye for now.
Those who want to watch.